right, this is Ahman Green, your host of All My Block podcast, and all my good friend and teammate Mike Wall. Mike, man, how you doing?
AG, I'm doing great. We finally got I think we got the music right for the first
We're
time.
getting there. Yeah, we're getting there,
Hey.
bro. All right, let's get it before we get into all the nonsense that went on this weekend, not just with the Packer game, but NFL itself. Let's get into this. Our sponsors here at Bet Online. So basketball is back, and Bet Online remains your number one source of all your sports betting needs for the season. You'll always find the latest odds, team matchup information, player news, and game trends at Bet Online. So as you continue your source of sports wagering information, Bet Online features live betting, free contests, giveaways, and all season long. So always the fastest, the easiest way to bet on your favorite sports and events whenever that's the NFL, NBA, NHL, MMA, tennis, boxing, esports, and even golf. So head on to betonline.ag to join, receive your 50% welcome bonus with your first deposit. Make sure you use the promo code BLEAV to receive your rewards. BetOnline, where the game starts, Mike. So let's get into this Packer Titans, man. Whew.
Yeah,
Tough one. Tough one.
this is crazy. I mean,
Tough one.
yeah. So it's 27-17. The
Mhm.
numbers are bad. We kind of in our preview. I went over this a little bit on Friday. But I put some clips together on Friday, but we went over this on the
Right.
show, right? You and I. And look, you got to win the line of scrimmage versus Derrick Henry and made him cut early. I think for the most part they did a pretty good job. He was averaging under 4 yards a carry, which is a great job given what his production usually is over the course of a game.
Right.
And then you talk about, we have to, but Tannehill beats the brakes off us, and our secondary is just, the miscommunication. It's like if you go through the tape and you watch the miscommunication in this game, for literally from their first pass play, you just can't believe what you're looking at, and that we're still in the place that we are.
Yeah, this right now is week 11. This was week 11, and so that communication should be on par. There should be no thinking about it because we've had the weeks for preparation, and from the mistakes from week 1, from the Minnesota game till now.
Justin Jefferson game, like
Exactly.
after that game, it should
the first game of the season, it should
all
be no
hands
problem.
on deck. Yeah,
Right.
all hands on deck. We're going to fix this. Week 2, we're not going to have a problem. Dude, week 11, and Tannehill looked like Joe Montana.
I have much respect for him. He's been through a lot.
Montana.
And he showed up. And yeah, he played, and it showed basically how the run game can bounce, help the pass game, because on some of those play actions, that's where he got guys wide open, and that helped, and he took advantage of them. And you mentioned about his accuracy. I saw that. Sitting in them zone cover. Yes, sitting in them zone coverages. If it was a cover 3 or cover 2, and them receivers just stop and turn around, he nailed them. And so that is the quarterback doing his job, regardless of what they say. He's a team manager or he's a play manager, whatever. Hey, he won that game. He did his job, and then Derrick Henry just had to keep doing what they're doing and grind the clock out.
Tannehill's he's accurate. The problem is we can't disguise coverages because we can't disguise coverages. And
right.
What you assume is, and I think a lot of people, and honestly wrongly assume, like if we crowd the line, I thought the same thing. You're watching the game and you're just watching on TV and you go, oh, they're crowding the line of scrimmage. Of course, people are going to be open. And maybe in part that's the reason, but really the reason they were open is because you're putting a lot of people in disadvantageous positions because the communication was so poor. And one thing, let's just highlight one idea, right? One concept. AG, if we're playing sticks, right? So everyone's complaining right now, like, hey, the DBs are always off. DBs are always 10 yards deep, 8 yards. Okay.
Yep. Right.
What happens is if you and I are both, let's say they're in double, right? So 2x2, and you and I are on the right side, and we're just standing next to each other, looking at these two receivers, and we're 8-10 yards deep, and they're running right at us, right? And we have some sort of communication that we have to pass these guys off. If one goes outside, I got him. If one goes upfield, you got him, etc. Right? And we're just standing there. And we're right next to each other. And so there's I can't see what you're going to do and you can't see what I'm going to do. And these people are running at us full speed. And all of a sudden they crisscross, one goes up, one goes out. You could just, as we talk about it right now, it's obvious. It seems very easy that we're going to make some mistakes. And so when you start looking at it's not only communication errors, it's just fundamentally from a scheme standpoint, if one of you can't correct for whatever the other one's doing, you're going to have a problem more often than not, because it only takes one of you to make a mistake now. If we do it the other way, and let's say you play up in press man, or you just play up 3 yards and I'm playing at 10 on a twins look or a double look. If whatever you decide to do, I can make up for it, but you can't make up for it if you're just standing in the same spot all the time And they do this, and you go, where'd he go? You're like, Top Gun, where'd he go? Where'd who go? You know what I mean?
No, you don't want
That's
that.
how it feels. Yeah.
You got to bounce that communication, and you got to just know, like pre-snap. Uh, Even I mean, this happens in practice. It should happen in practice. But say for whatever reason they change up, they come out in different formations and schemes that we didn't practice for. That happened a lot. During our playing days, is that teams
Mhm.
that we trained for. We train for this look. We train for a 3-4. They come out in a 4-3 or whatever. And they're playing man, and then they come out. We practice man, and they come out in zone the whole game. So just those are adjustments that then on the run, I'm conversating with you. All right, this is not this. They're doing this now, Mike. All right, I'm gonna do this. If they come out like you said with that two double set, the guy I'm on comes to you, take him, and I'm gonna take the other guy, and I'll just stay out here on the outside. So you got to have that verbal communication in game to adjust to make sure. Okay, I'm doing my job to make sure our defense doesn't give up plays or whole lot of first downs and a whole lot of big plays over top because that's going to hurt us, and that's what we saw happen with the boys on Thursday night.
Yeah, no doubt. You go over to the other side of the ball, and one of the things we wanted to talk about, I think, before the game is we had to establish the run game, obviously,
Yes.
and we'll show this a little bit because we have there's some numbers coming out. Our snap rates versus shotgun versus under center. How
Mm-hmm.
often we do one thing versus another. Under shotgun run rate is 66% of the time. If we're under center, we're going to run the ball. Only 22% of the time, if we're in shotgun, we're going to run the ball. So, like, you start creating tendencies, right?
Mm-hmm.
We don't run the ball as effective. So, therefore, you don't run the ball as effectively necessarily under center as you do in shotgun. For contextually, that's easy to think why. Okay, I'm under center. They're going to bring more people in the box. I'm in shotgun, means we're spread out. They're probably 6 in the box, like more advantageous positions for us. All of that makes sense. So, when people start throwing out stats right now, like, okay, we can contextualize anything. But
Right.
what we find is under center play action, especially against a team who's got guys like 51, David Long Jr. on their team,
Yes.
who's absolutely warhammering our offensive line the entire night and shooting the gap. They bite hard. We showed this on Friday. We didn't run a true under center play action pass until the third quarter. And we'll get to the tape, man. It's crazy. Because our last thing was like, can we call the right game plan 2 weeks in a row?
Mm-hmm.
That's still up in the air, AG. You tell me.
Yeah, and then what you were saying about the linebacker there, when you're not doing the true under the center, then you know what? They're a fast reacting team. You know what? We just gonna batter and beat you up because if you want to not show it or try to toy around with it and not really get into it, then they're gonna take advantage of the mistake you're making right there, and that's what we saw in the game.
You want to check this out real quick? So I
Yeah,
put a couple
let's
clips
go.
together just
Let's do
to
it.
point this out, and forgive me because some of this is from the stuff on Friday.
Yeah.
So this is under center run, okay, and we got beat up under center. So you see here our center and left guard get split. Our center gets beat backside, and then you see we miss. David Long, just does a run blitz or a run stun again, beats us. So our guys are having to make cuts in the backfield, which is something we didn't want to
penetration. Penetration is a problem.
do. Yeah, our center and left guard literally get split here, which means they're both facing the wrong direction as Aaron Jones gets the ball. I mean,
AJ
think about I know this has happened to every running back, but like
Right.
you see that AG and you just go like, oh man, it's gonna be a bad night, bro.
Yeah, the first thing pops in my head, hold on to the ball, and then just do what I can. Just work with what I can here.
We got two guys facing the wrong direction after half a second, though. It's just because their footwork is poor. But the thing, that's AJ, excuse me. But the thing is, it's under center, and we're showing what we need to show.
Exactly.
Okay, so we talked about this one too. So basically, we've fixed this problem already, and we're back doing it. So you see the safety goes into the box. Our receiver can't block the safety from where he is. He needs to insert behind the tight end. And we've done it. I showed on Friday the Titans do it in the game. But for whatever reason, we don't do it. So we're under center. We let the safety make the play. This is something that plagues a lot of teams, right? But it looked like Green Bay had made this adjustment. I'm just trying to get back to the point where we're actually doing some of this making some of these adjustments and sticking with them.
Right.
The reason I brought this tape up, though, is this, AG.
What's up?
So we're under center, and now we're going to do play action pass. Okay? And I want you to we're just going to highlight the linebackers and what the separation that you can get from a run read. Now, we got All their bodies are facing Aaron.
Mm-hmm.
All of our guys are either at or past the linebacker level already. So the separation is there. This is
Yep.
how a team who's running the ball, 40% of the time, this is how a team capitalizes on that under center run. If your under center run is only averaging, let's say, 3.5 yards a carry,
Exactly,
that's
which is successful.
yeah, that's okay, right? You can get the easy yards in shotgun, right, with the 6-man box. Like we know that. This is what allows you to create play action pass, create separation, help your receivers, help your quarterback, make it obvious, help the offensive line that struggles in pass protection at times by slowing down the pass rush. Right? It's all possible if we continue to run this. This was again not until the third quarter.
Yep. And by this time, everything should be established. And I say back to that goal line play where you had Randall Cobb, and I think that should have been a switch. That should be a personal thing. Get Lazard
That's
there.
a great point.
And because Randall Cobb just coming on IR,
Mm-hmm.
not saying he can't block, not saying he won't block, but just give him a chance, give a Lazard a better chance because he's been doing it all season long, and not just the last few weeks like for Randall Cobb. So just in the huddle, be like, hey, Allen, you go over here just for this play because this you got to dig the safety out. So just think about that, for between the two receivers, or even between Aaron or even Matt LaFleur sending that in from comms from the sideline with that play call.
Yeah, absolutely. And on plays like that too, you can see that, like Mercedes Lewis is on that side, but he's hipped off, so you can easily just flip them,
Mm-hmm.
put Mercedes Lewis on the line of scrimmage, hip Cobb off, and then Cobb can kind of just do the backstop body on the defensive end, which isn't going to be pretty, but
But it's
yeah,
something in his face. Yeah.
yeah, but it's not. But it's also, I think what you're saying too is like we don't want him to go through and have like helmet to helmet or helmet to shoulder contact when he just got back.
Right.
Right.
He's a guy that it's gonna be rough.
So this was kind of the point I was trying to make on Friday after the game is now this is like 2 or 3 plays later. So now instead of under center play action pass, a lot of teams. So like if you go to PFF, you go to these stats places, they're going to call this play action, okay? Because he's going to do like a
little token fake.
a little token fake to Jones. Look at the linebackers. First of all, offensive line does not look like they're coming off the ball.
No, they're not
And
selling
this is
that.
not,
That starts with them.
right, and this is not their fault. This is how they're. This is the new NFL. This is the scheme. This is what's being coached. They're going to say, "Oh yeah, we're going to hold the linebackers with this gratuitous play fake." Look at the linebackers in this, man. I mean, this is a joke, right? And they immediately bail. There's no
they know it's not pass. I mean, they
yeah.
know it's not run.
They know it's not running.
They're
So
not respecting it out of the shotgun.
this is why when we keep on pounding, for fans out there, when we keep on talking about, listen, you need to establish the run for demeanor. You need to establish the run because you want to have that physical presence. You want to be able to run the ball and can dictate the terms of confrontation. But you also need to establish a run because under center play action pass works. This does not work as far as what you're trying to accomplish. You're trying to create separation in the secondary. You can't do it with this.
No, you gotta. It's an act. You gotta show run. You gotta be run, and then boom, play action pass.
Yeah.
It's a whole commitment for everybody on the offense when the play action play is called when you're establishing the run. The fake, like I remember, I used to tuck down and run and make 3-4 cuts like I had the ball to really sell it because then the linebackers are looking at me. They're worried about me, and then when they do that, all right, Brett. Then when I commit to it, then it makes everybody else's job easier. Receivers can go get open, linemen, y'all can hold your blocks a little bit better and longer, and then Brett or Aaron can get the ball out.
Yeah, no doubt. So I guess with that, we're now 4-7. We're third in the NFC North. I think we're tied because of tiebreaker to the Lions.
Yeah.
But more importantly, we're not a playoff team, and we're really not anywhere close. So Eagles, rough. Vikings, NFC South has to send one. So Tampa and the Seahawks are leading the divisions right now. San Fran's at 5-4, but you could just tell that San Fran's going to kind of be a little bit better now with Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah.
Giants are 7-3. Cowboys are 7-3, all ahead of the Packers. 4-7. I mean, it's like for me, it's kind of time to go. Okay, we're playing the Eagles this weekend. Realistically, that's going to be a tough one. Although the Eagles have had two kind of interesting weekends.
Mm-hmm.
Here's some stats, AG, because I just want to know what kind of stands out to you. I'll give you some numbers and just hear your thoughts here.
Okay.
So rushing percentage on offense, right? We think we need to rush the ball to become this like play action pass team. This is where our identity should be. We're at 41%. We're 18. We're right in the middle of the road, 18th in the league. 41% rushing.
Okay.
So defensively, 50%. So half the time against our defense, because of the game, because of our run defense, etc., 50% of the time teams are running the ball against us. That's usually what happens. That number goes up as you're winning games, right? Because we're 4-7, it kind of makes sense.
Right.
But we're number with Aaron Rodgers and everything else that's going on. We're number 20 in yards per pass. We only average 6.4 yards every time he lets the ball out of his hands. Okay, 20th in the league. That is incredibly low. And then we are, maybe the most telling tale here is we are 27th in turnover margin.
Yeah,
27th in turnover margin. So you go with that wherever you want.
It's with the turnovers, because the turnovers kind of explain everything. Because when you don't have the ball, you can't run it or pass it. The offense or the other team then has time to obviously rest their defense, and you're giving them plays to make sure they hit their goals defensively, and then their offense is on the field a lot more. So that means your defense is out there a lot much longer, excuse me, and they're tired eventually because they're human beings, and then rotating out is going to be an issue because you're going to have to do that. But then now you're adjusting and playing more reps. And then at the end of the day, that's where the injuries come in. That's when a whole lot of stuff starts to build up, because the offense from the opposing team is on the field too long, and the defense is trying to do their best to hold, basically hold a dam where things are leaking and they can't stop it up.
It's to be that low with, again, I think this is just one of those years everything's going wrong. But to be that low with the defense that we thought we'd have, and certainly with a player Aaron had his first 3 turnover game in how many years this year. It's just one of those years, and that's okay. Like sometimes you just have these, and we'll get into it a little bit more, but there's a reason that things happen. Like this isn't just arbitrary. And a lot of people want to talk to how much time you spend here in the off season, what you're doing in the off season. I tend to look at it like 40 years of players do just fine doing that. I think it's a part of it's about how much time they can spend during training camp, how many padded practices they have, but it's also how we're coaching, what the expectations are, how good of teachers we have on coaching staff. Because you look at that, for example, the miscommunication, and a lot of people are calling for Joe Barry's job, and it's like, okay, well, if Joe Barry's gone, then they say, well, Jerry Gray's the assistant, like DC. It's like, well, Jerry Gray runs the defensive backs room. You're going to put him in charge? And
right. They're having communication problems, right?
Right, that's the point. So it's like, well, I don't understand where you want to go with this exactly. Maybe there's somebody out there that can swoop in, but it's every time this team has lost in the last couple of years, and they've been 13-3. They've had success in the regular season, but they've lost in the playoffs. And every time they lose, though, and teams. Listen, we're all human. And everybody has a bad game from time to time, but it's always been. It's never been that they just got outplayed by better players. Let's put it that way. I don't think you don't go into a lot of games with Green Bay, with Aaron Rodgers, and especially when Devontae Adams was here. You don't go into a lot of games like maybe the Chiefs game last year where you go, okay, Aaron's not playing. They should beat us, right?
Right.
There's just not a lot of games that you go into where you should get beat when you got the talent that they have. And so when that happens, when you're not playing up to standard, the question has to, for guys like you and me goes, okay, well, it's preparation. Are you preparing the right way? And the answer seems to be largely this year, based on outcome, the answer's got to be no.
Right. Yeah. Preparation between what the coaches bring up in meetings, how they address it, how they talk about it, if it's repetitive, if it's repeated, things like that to remind people of the discipline, to remind people of accountability, constructive criticism, getting better. And so all that is what coaches that do for their job. And then the players, then they execute the plays. They work on their strengths. They get healthy. They do everything to make sure they're available to play, especially if they're that better player. And those are the things that right now it just those are the things you could tell that are affecting the squad. Because I think it was something out there where Aaron's thumb, I think it is broken, or it's cracked, or it has a hairline fracture in it, and with that there, it didn't make sense. Not saying he can't play with it, but then obviously that can be some of a little detail that's missed out on why some of his throws doesn't have the umph on it, or the velocity on the ball, where things are getting thrown into the middle of nowhere. So that can answer that question if possible. So
Yeah, I mean, and I guess what it was hard. I think it was hard for some people. Is like, well, how did he played well 2 weeks ago? Why doesn't he play well this week? Well, if you get, if you have something that's, like if you have a hairline fracture, if you got something that's hurt, I don't know exactly what's wrong. I'm just giving you my example
yeah.
because we've all broken bones before.
Oh
If
yeah.
you like, if I got a hairline fracture in my thumb and I do that, it gets hit on shoulder pad, gets hit on helmet, whatever. Like it hurts now. It
Like
goes
a mother.
numb. All of a sudden, it gets inflamed. So whatever feeling that you had before, it's just going to be,
Different.
maybe it's not quite it's the same as day one, but it certainly
Mhm.
doesn't, like that grip strength, everything does change. So there's certainly a lot of reasons from, I think, the Aaron Rodgers standpoint. But again, when I go back to this, I try to look beyond the quarterback a little bit because
Mhm. Oh yeah.
because of it's a physical factor,
Yeah. Just
and
this
start
one
look
thing,
and
one of
start
many.
yeah and start looking at, like, okay, from a prep standpoint, communication's poor, footwork's poor along the offensive line. Like these are like foundational principles of being a good player, right?
Yes.
So you have two things that are foundational: your technique and your foundational knowledge of the sport. And right now we're failing in both.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
I put together. So a lot of people have been talking about Kenny Clark. Like Kenny Clark is
Yes.
our team captain, one of the leaders of this defense. I think he started out week 2 in the NFL. I think he had like 10 pressures already. I mean, he was starting out hot.
Yep.
And like those numbers don't show up necessarily because they're not sacks and the people don't really know what to look for, but like pressures equal picks. It's a big deal. He's great in the run game. And everyone's like, where's Kenny? Where's Kenny? This run game's been poor. Where's Kenny? And I just wanted to put together some clips from this Titans game and then go back to a handful of clips in the Minnesota game week 1 and just like, let's just talk about it, because footwork is king. And I think there's a couple things we can look at and identify with Kenny if we just break it down on the tape that kind of makes sense as
Mhm.
far as like why this production isn't necessarily where it needs to, or he's not showing up in at times where we think he might show up. And sometimes
Right.
he does, sometimes he doesn't. But I think there's always an explanation. So if you're ready, let's just dive in, man.
Yep. Ready to go.
So I think this is the first play of the game. And remember, the Tennessee Titans are starting their left guard at center. Okay, so new position for him. Very, very strong player. I'll start by saying that. I think along the interior of their offensive line, they're generally like pretty stout, strong players. But Kenny buckles this guy on the first play of the game. Now,
Oh yeah.
dude's on his knee, right? He's
Yep.
beat. Okay. Now, Derrick Henry, they put him in the A gap for a reason,
Oh
right? To
yeah.
stop him. But right there, that's a play that nobody sees where you're like, dude, Kenny he won. It just doesn't show up. So
Mhm.
for people out there, like, understand, first play of the game, he's dominating, right? He gets taken out by the running back, but he's still a bad man.
Mhm.
Now we
Yep.
look at this second play, and footwork comes into it. Now, the way this play works, if I just take it back, AG, is that the center and the left guard are going to push all the way over to Quay. Okay.
Mhm.
So what's the
Yep. Yep.
responsibility of the nose tackle is to make sure that the center cannot rise up to the second level.
Yeah.
So
Don't
in other
shed
words,
him. Get to linebacker.
so in other words, he can't go through Kenny and get to the second level. So if Kenny washes this down, obviously you'd like to hold your point as much as you can, but he doesn't know if it's inside zone, outside zone. That's not his responsibility. His responsibility is the A gap.
Yep.
So he doesn't get blown off the line of scrimmage here.
He's holding it.
He holds that point. And what happens is, we've been talking about it, Quay is not one of those players that's going to attack the gap,
No.
right? He's just not. And we got
It
guys
is.
coming backside that are trying to cross face that don't do a great job.
Yeah.
So,
Quay is a speed guy.
but if we crash this gap, if we get a cross face on the backside like we're supposed to, right? He makes the play. I mean, Kenny Clark's doing his job here. He might not he's not going to be in a stat sheet for it, but he's doing exactly what he's supposed to do. You put
Yep.
him out
Doing
here
his
on,
rules.
yeah, you put him down here at over the right guard in the B gap. I think this is the third play of the game. And this is that blown coverage out in the back, but we got to watch it anyways. So they're going to run a TE. And right here, Kenny Clark could go. And this is like this is hard for people to understand sometimes. You have a pass rush plan with a guy like Ryan Tannehill because I was in Miami. I know Ryan Tannehill. Ryan Tannehill likes to escape to his right and throw on the run. He's a very athletic player.
Mm-hmm.
So right here, you look at it and you go, dude, Kenny could split them right now and go, right? But because we're running a TE and the end's coming inside, if Kenny doesn't wrap around here and go high, if he doesn't do that, Ryan Tannehill releases outside. Ryan Tannehill, he basically breaks contain.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So these are those situations, the first 3 plays of the game, where he's playing at a high level. He's disruptive. It's just he doesn't have the freedom some of the other players have. You play nose tackle, you've got to do some of the dirty work. He shows up. He's been double teamed twice now.
Yep.
He's been passed off. So this to me is like, dude, he's doing everything you're asking for. Now, a couple plays later, guy's still in the game. And AG, you know how this is. You guys rotate,
Mm-hmm.
right? So after a handful of plays, like you take a breather because you need to recover.
You need to rest up. Yeah, you need to rest up.
Now, offensive linemen are like pickup trucks, and we run on diesel. So we don't ever leave because we're never going to be faster. So it's just like, hey, you want me to run at 5 miles an hour or 5 miles an hour? I can run 5 miles an hour on the first play or 5 miles an hour on the 12th play.
Right.
But this is the first play of this is the 5th play of the game. And again, he's trying to fight for leverage against the center. Gets caught up.
Yep. That's out of his control there. But he was working to the gap again, working to his gap, doing his rules.
6th play of the game, playing a wide 3 technique. And this is where Kenny, I think earlier in the season, these are the kind of plays that he might show up on. Where he feels that pressure, he feels like that turn, he walls off. Now, he almost makes this play.
Yeah,
this is a draw. But these are the kind of plays, or I should say, maybe it's better to say it this way, AG. When you've been in the game for 6 plays, so I think they did a study maybe 5-6 years ago. We talked about it with JJ Watt. Remember, he was like the only guy that could play at a high level. Okay, so most guys after 6 plays are cooked.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so you kind of see like his reaction time maybe isn't as fast as it would be because this is his 6th play in a row, and that's honestly that's what happened. So he gets a break after this. He barely misses that play. He gets a break after it. He goes in. Now this is like second series. 11. I think it's like the 11th play of the game. And what does he do?
Pushing. Yeah.
Yeah, he dominates that guy, right?
He pushes him straight into that guy. Almost into Derrick Henry's lap right there. Almost.
And AG, this is exactly what you described as like the hardest thing for a running back, right? You get the ball and it's like, oh shoot, I got to stop and go another direction. All of a sudden.
And for Derrick Henry and for any big back, like I was mentioning with AJ, you making him stop his feet, so that's a win. Because then the linebackers, if they're attacking the gap like they should, then you could get a tackle for loss or a very short gain, if anything. But then, when that D tack gets up there, if it's a nose guard or the 5, when you have that penetration, you make us stop our feet and have to restart. And so that was I say a win for Kenny right there.
And I just let's just say this because people need to understand, like there's no statistic that lets everybody know that he just dominated this play.
Right, other than visual.
right. No, like unless you're looking for it, there's no statistic that makes everybody go, "Oh yeah, he just dominated that play." Like he doesn't get credit for that tackle.
And I think Derrick maybe got back to the line of scrimmage on that play. Big difference.
Over the left guard here. Again, now this is a footwork issue.
Yeah,
right.
He jumped outside, or inside. I mean,
yeah. So he's in a stance that makes you think that he might be taking an inside step, but when you look at the backside, they're not all going one direction, and Quay Walker's going into that A gap right here initially. So my thought is that he just got reached because he took a poor first step. If you look at I think it's his
Quay or Kenny. Quay or Kenny.
So watch. So Quay's going to go A, and then he's going to spin over the top.
Gotcha.
But Kenny should be attacking the line of scrimmage. And it looks like when you watch Kenny's first step here,
he takes an inside step.
Kenny goes straight across.
Mm-hmm.
So the minute you go straight across and not forward, you should go forward into that guy, and then you can react on your second step. So a defensive tackle that's an attacking player takes their first step, and depending on what the offensive lineman does, it's basically their toe changes, right? So if they're taking on a double, they want to show that shoulder, they turn their toe in. If they're going out, they turn their toe out because they have to play into the guard. Like it's like literally that subtle, but you're basically trying to replace your down hand with your foot as far as get that foot in the ground, strike, get into that guy's body. He steps to the side, and now he's behind the play.
Right.
Makes sense?
Yep, makes sense.
So these are, I mean, these are things that happen over the course of a game. You don't know if he's worn out. It's course of the season. You don't know. Again, there's multiple reasons to do it.
Yeah, maybe he was anticipating something because he saw something where the all line was lined up. I don't know, but guys, he just made a bad step there. Yep.
So this is great. So you can see the center, new center, talking to the right guard, pointing out where they're going. Kenny, smart player, nose tackle, right, like can hear everything they're saying.
Of course, yeah.
and immediately just attacks the. I think he just attacks the guard here, right? Yeah, just attacks the guard and makes this play. Again, that's like that is such a hard play to make. He is basically taking 2 300+ pound men, one in each arm, and stopping progress completely.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so Quay can come off and get in the right and reset this, get in the gap, and make a play. Now, there are other people that need to make plays here.
Yeah.
Including being able to fill the whole backside and everything. But he just took a double team on. Like, that is a phenomenal job. Gets absolutely no credit for it. Right?
Yeah.
Absolutely
Coaches,
no credit.
Yeah. And I say with that, being Derrick Henry, he was able to pick up positive yardage there. Quay has to be that thumper. He has to get in that gap. As soon as he sees that gap clear where your D tackle just got ate up with the double team, like you mentioned, he has to hit that thing hard. He has to come down the field right away.
Over right guard here. Again, we talked about this earlier. It's something that Jaron Reed's been doing a really good job of. But when you sense a double, so for fans, like every time that I'm going to work with like Chad Clifton on the defensive tackle, we'll make a call, or we'll make a call either at the line of scrimmage or in the huddle. But he knows, because maybe the right tackle's looking at him. He's changed his stance, changed his demeanor. The right guard might be looking right in his eyes instead of looking at 51, or vice versa. But Kenny reads immediately that this is going to be a double and attacks that tackle. What happens? Feet get too wide on the right guard, right? Because he's expecting contact. So he's a little bit out of control. Easier for Chris Barnes to stand up and shed. And now he just attacks that tackle, stonewalls him completely. And again, he's making the play. I mean, he's like, what would that be, like the second assist in hockey, where you're not the guy making it,
Yeah.
You're setting up people for success. That's what that is. This is a big deal, man. Like this guy is a high level player. The stats are just tough to find.
No. Yep. Again, penetration, gotta feel, reset the line of scrimmage. I like it.
Might get a little credit now because he makes that tackle. But so the difference in the play, AG, so remember the first one we showed when he got reached?
Yeah.
Kind of same situation, except he goes straight upfield with his first step.
Yep.
Just goes right into him.
No,
right? It's
big
just
difference.
that easy.
Yeah, bigger. Yeah.
It's simple, man. It's foundational technique, foundational knowledge, man.
Yeah,
and all the sport is.
And that's what it looks like to me. Like he maybe was anticipating something on that last play. Where he jumped in and took that, or not jumped in, he just took the inside step that put him in the wrong position. But that time he read it as it was off the ball and then attacked and reset the line of scrimmage as you want your D lineman to do, and was able to be on that tackle as well.
Center, I think this is a 3-man. Yeah, okay, so look at this. I mean, the dude defeats the down block and basically takes two, right? Because the guard whiffs, so the tackle's got to take him. Gets Quay free. So Quay Walker's open because our man, Kenny Clark, beat the left guard, forced the left tackle to take him, and now nobody's up to get the line back. That's the impact that he makes. No stats.
Yeah, he went into that toolbox. That is, a move where he's been working on it and saw or thought, this is the time to pull that out. Let me do this now just to give him something to think about. And that's what he did right there. Good job.
That's the worst feeling in the world, by the way, when you think you got that guy and he just clubs you across.
Yeah.
Dude, you feel like such a dope.
That's going to the toolbox, man. Because I know with picking up blitzes at times between it, no matter if it was Brooksy or Urlacher, sometimes I take them high, and then sometimes I fake the cut and still take them high, and then sometimes I just straight cut them just to slow them down, to give them give them some time to think like, oh man, he took me high, then he cut me the last play. Then I'm waiting for him to make a move, but you know what? I'm gonna dictate it. He's gonna play off of me instead of me off of him, and you got to do that sometimes.
Awesome. How you get to confrontation determines the terms of confrontation, man.
Oh yeah,
you're the expert.
Big fun.
So again, on this play, he gets washed. I mean, like this is a player that you don't expect to see this because he doesn't even get a hold of the center. The center gets out before him. It looks like he's laid off the snap, and the right guard reaches him. Now, the right guard, to their credit, the flip side of this is like, what does an offensive lineman do? Well, the right guard takes a great first step, right? So he gains leverage first step. He does exactly what he's supposed to do. So good technique wins in this. Kenny, you can't see on this angle, but I guarantee you Kenny's first step is not upfield at the speed that it needs to be. He starts going flat as soon as he sees that center. And so instead of being able to press the center and then get in that space between the center and the guard, when you go flat, when you just take that immediate flat step, you got the center to beat you, but now you got to look back and this guy's running right at you and he's trying to gain ground. So you end up becoming like you become more passive. Instead of being the hammer, you become the nail a little bit, and he's able to get pushed off the ball.
Yeah.
This is what we're trying to do from an offensive line. Your hope that first step puts you in a position to be successful like that.
Yep. You gain all the leverage. You're in control.
So we got 6 across here. You got 3 defensive linemen over on the right, on the left side of their offensive line. And this is like one of those situations where you'd like to see Kenny dominate this center in this A-gap rush. And maybe, I don't know if this is a function of, he's tired, but if you're not running a game here and you're playing against a center who's basically the backup center and he's going to open up on his second step. So he takes a snap and he's immediately open like that. You got to press and take advantage of, like, he's basically giving you this middle of the field. You got to press and not let him actually turn you by doing this little kind of whip through, right? So these are the kind of plays that we'll show some things in Minnesota real quick. Like, this is the kind of stuff you're like, man, those are the opportunities to win. You got to win on those because, that's big. You're a big time player. That's what big time players do.
Yep.
We go back to the first game of the season. I just wanted to put it in perspective. I didn't want to go through every game, but like, okay, what did it look first game of the season? Dude had 10, he had a couple tackles for loss. I want to say he had like double-digit pressures in the first couple games.
Right.
So does he, let's just talk about AG. Like, he's fresh right now. Training camp is a joke.
Week 1.
Training camp is a joke for these guys. So let's just look, man. You tell me. Like, I've already watched it, but I want your opinion. Does it look different, or does it just look what we just saw?
Right. All right. No, fresh legs, fresh
that looks
salad.
Pretty good, right? Like,
fresh salad, as we called it.
You get a one-on-one versus the NFL center, man, and he beats him clean. And like, obviously, I put some plays in here that he's going to look good, but I basically just picked plays out of the first 2 series of the game.
Yeah, it's a difference.
So he's lined up over the center here. Dominates the right guard coming down. This is like my favorite thing to do is like they scored a touchdown, but I don't care.
Yeah, D lineman wins.
Yeah, I don't care, man. Like, we're showing, like, did this guy win or not? Like, he won.
Yeah,
that's a win.
He won because he got the what's that? The guard head over his shoulders or head over his heels, so he got him going into the ground on that swim move. So that's a victory.
We got a back block on the center. The left guard's pulling across. Squeezes the center here, man. Like, kills him.
Takes him for a ride.
And then this last play versus Darisaw, we were talking about earlier.
Is that him on the right, the wide 9?
Yeah, he's wide 9 out here versus their left tackle.
Oh my goodness!
So everybody's so this is, I hate to bring this up, but Rashawn Gary gets his first sack of the year on this play versus that rookie right guard. Remember?
Yeah.
Dude, we didn't even pay attention. Look what Kenny Clark does. He just beats that guy out.
You put Kenny Clark I didn't even notice that he was at the wide 9. Oh my god!
Ever since Aaron Donald started doing that, all those guys want a piece of that action.
So you're putting him at the top of the hill and letting him run down. That's basically when you put Kenny Clark at a wide 9.
Yeah.
Because you got all that momentum, having to take 3 or 4 steps to get full speed, and he's gonna hit that tackle or a tight end, whoever's on that edge is about to eat it. You
About to
know,
feel it, right?
they're about to feel it.
Yeah, yeah. You better get a
Man,
wide. You better get a wide set and then settle a little bit if you're playing tackle. Man, you don't
man,
want
I
to
don't
go
know if you
4 yard head
could
start.
exactly. I don't know if you can even anchor down on that. That's tough. Woo.
So with that, like, you tell me, is it perception or reality? Do you think that it's changed, or is it just he's kind of circumstantially doing his job and not getting some of the love that he's used to getting when the team's doing better?
Yes, it's that last part. It's just not getting the love because the team is not doing good, and because he's doing his job, like he's showing up, he's executing his moves, executing the scheme or the play call at the time. Just one play really where he was out of position, where he took
Mhm.
that slight inside step on the run play that where Derrick Henry went to the outside. That was one play out of six that we watched, but we pretty sure obviously for all the plays it's still a low percentage of where he's put himself in the wrong position where he's actually doing his job, sucking up the linemen to help his linebackers hit the gaps, because that's what defensive line job is. Let the linebackers go feast. That's what one team during our playing days, we didn't play them a whole lot that was successful at that was the Ravens.
Yeah.
Ray Lewis,
Goose,
Ray
Goose, and
Lewis,
Sam Adams, right?
Sharper, all those guys, those linebackers was able to do their job because they had Big Sam Adams, Tony Saragusa, and a
Mhm.
few other big guys, McQuarrie, eating up the
Boy,
old
McQuarrie was
lineman.
a bad dude.
He was a problem. You only get
You want to hear something funny about that?
yeah.
You know Ray Lewis. Ray Lewis. So two things that are funny. Ray Lewis demanded that they run that defense because he couldn't function in the 4-3 because that center could go get him. It's true.
Hey, he knew he was smart. No, that's
Yeah, no,
smart.
it's true. It's
Yeah,
true. And
no,
then
I
and
believe
then
it.
the only offensive lineman whoever has got AFC or NFC offensive player of the week was Brian Waters when Kansas City. Brian Waters was a
Kansas City.
bad.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
remember Brian
he was
Waters.
he
Yes,
was a bad man.
I think
So
he was
Brian Waters was
64.
left guard, and he beat up. I think the entirety of the Baltimore Ravens, but he had a couple like you got to hold. I mean, Brian Waters is a 500-pound bench guy. He
Yeah,
got a hold of Ray a couple times. I think dumped him, and because Ray was so revered,
yeah.
that he actually got like AFC Player of the Week, which is like offensive line. You're just going, dude, that's not even an award for us, but that's how you're a legend. That if somebody has a good day against you, they get Player of the Week. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Mhm.
At
Oh
that
yeah.
position.
Oh, 100%. Understood.
So I wanted to do a little Monday morning QB
Ooh, I saw this. Yeah, I was like,
this year,
"What?"
this
Okay.
week. So the first thing is league wide offensive play is absolute garbage.
Yeah.
Let me give you some of these numbers from this is just from this last
Uh,
weekend, dude.
Okay, I'm going to
So
get some sets.
scores. Okay, we got Eagles Colts 17-16. Jets
Yeah.
Patriots 3-10. We'll talk about the Jets because oh my lord. Okay.
Yeah.
The Giants only score 18. Panthers Ravens 13-3. Like 3 points in an NFL game.
Yeah. Yeah.
23-10 Texans. 22-16 Raiders Broncos. Obviously, the Vikings had 3 points. And then you got the Niners Cardinals tonight. Cardinals gonna be without Murray, so they might not score. I mean, that it's
Yeah.
bad football. And like, you tell me why do you think that is happening? Like, why do you think that they've schemed everything to make the offensive score more points?
Right.
Fantasy football, everything's designed,
The
the
rules.
rules,
Yes.
everything for.
The rule.
Why do you think?
I think the secret sauce, it ain't no secret because we've been talking about it on this show forever, is the training camp problem. They have to maximize. I think teams that figured it out, Kansas City, are maximizing their time where yes, they got a little bit less time to hit, so they're hitting more. They're in that they're maximizing that time and space. And when you show and not even hitting, you're getting the reps that you need with your quarterback, with your starter, to the receivers, to the third string, to the first string to the third string.
Mhm.
They're catching the balls from from the quarterback. They're getting everything. The feel of a press coverage. They got the DBs in their faces, the D lineman and O lineman. They're going at it. And so Andy Reid, I think, is doing a really good job. Patriots, another team, they just don't have the talent, but they got the coaching. And when they play in the game, they're not really getting. There's very few games where I could say the Patriots been blown out. Fundamentally, they're sound everywhere. offense, especially their offensive line and their defensive line. That's where, and DBs as well. I know Bill Belichick, that's his position. He likes to really get after and teach those guys the fundamentals, all the rules, the things they could do to get away with to cover a wide receiver, because he knew and he knows that this NFL is tailored to quarterbacks and wide receivers now. So I think it's the training camp thing, 100%. They just not maximize. A lot of the 32 teams are not getting the maximization out of the less time they have. And instead of putting them guys on the shelf in the games, they need to play more snaps in preseason ball when the games come up.
Yeah. Another way to say that is, at least to me, is that I think technically we're just inferior. And you can say
Right.
it could very well just be because they don't get enough training camp experience. Certainly the more confrontations you can go into before live action,
Exactly.
intuitively, the better you would be off, right?
Yeah.
But what's crazy to me now is every single rule they make is for the offense. Everything is skewed, and it's the production is not what you would expect it to be given all of the advantages they have. And when you watch a lot of these teams play, there are so many people losing individual matchups. And in particular, I'm an offensive lineman. So I'm biased to this, but like offensive line individuals are losing to the defensive tackle, the defensive end, at a rate that is surprising. It's, in other words, it's surprising. It's like the free agency and the trade deadline. There's a reason that you don't see an offensive lineman get traded at the trade deadline. Like, there's a lot of teams with bad offensive linemen. There's just so many teams that don't have good ones, that the ones that actually have enough good ones, they ain't giving them up.
Right.
Ain't nobody trading for an offensive lineman, right? Because people are just not willing to trade them. Like, they'll trade for a quarterback, a defensive end, a
running back, anybody. Yeah.
And so that position, like getting a good player at that position and then finding a system that works at that position is becoming to me is becoming a top priority, because you could kind of you could 7-on-7 receivers and DBs, right? And running backs and linebackers to some part of the game.
Yeah.
But you cannot pillow pad offensive and defensive line play. Like, you got to buy a ticket, you got to strap up, you got to put your stuff on. You got to be willing to hey, the rest of the day is going to feel pretty bad. Like, you got to be able to do all that if you want to get good. And just guys aren't willing to go do that on their own, and they don't literally have time to do it with during training camp and during these practices.
Right. Yeah, it's like a boxer preparing for the title fight without sparring.
Yeah.
That's basically it.
Yeah.
It's like this is a full contact sport, and you're telling me for 2.5, actually a whole month in August, you're not having the 1% physical for 50% of the time? Is that because I think it's less than that they hit now? So
I think it's 11 or 13 training camp practices. It's some ridiculous number.
And you got 31 days, and you telling me, and that's what was that, less than a third?
And I know that there's it's nuanced, right? Because I think they can put their pads on, but if they have shorts on, it's not full pads.
Correct.
So it's well, I'm not tackling them to the ground, but still you got your pads on. But I watch training camp practices every year.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, it's not the same.
Yeah.
The intensity is not the same. People are just trying. It's literally about getting through. I know one of the biggest differences, when I was playing, was when we were in Green Bay, we used to get after it, because we just had we were just those guys, right?
Yep.
It didn't mean we were the best players in the league, but we like to get after it.
We like to work.
I got to Carolina, and I remember I was trying to get after people, and I remember Dan Morgan and they had great defense, man.
Yep.
And they were like, listen, Dan took me aside. He's like, listen, John, Foxy, the way that he runs camp, we're down in South Carolina, it's hot, it's humid. He goes, and 2.5 hours twice a day. He goes, you will not make it through training camp. We will not make it through training camp if we do this every single day. And so it was I was first of all, I was like, I don't care.
Right. Me too. I would have been the same.
Yeah. But then after, it's like you're throwing a ball against the wall and nobody's throwing it back. You throw the ball into the ocean, nobody's throwing the damn ball back. It's nobody wanted to play with me.
That was Houston. That was Houston for me.
It kind of got to the point where you're like, yeah, man, you just got to figure out the times we're going to go. We got to go. And the defense on that was a defensive team, so they'd be like, hey, we're going. And it was like, okay, I guess we get to go now. I guess we get to play now. But that's
Right.
how it is for a lot of teams, and I think that's how it is in the league more often than not. Now is like we're trying to get through this, we're trying to survive this, and not because of like 2.5 hour full padded practices like we had back then, but just because like, hey, all we care about is getting those checks in during game week.
Yeah, different mindset. Interesting.
Here's the next one, man.
Yeah.
This is just, I'll just say it. Is it time to fire Joe Barry?
Was it 2 years now or 1.5? This will be 1.5.
The sample size has gotten, I think, large enough.
Yeah.
You got a lot of talent on that side of the ball, dude.
Man, you do. I mean, oof.
What do you do? Okay, let's say you fire him. What do you do? That's the problem, right?
Yeah, that's the problem because, like we mentioned, like the DB's coach.
Jerry Gray's DB's coach.
Yeah, and you could tell they're not communicating properly. So I don't think you fire him. You may do it later, not not mid-season,
Okay.
but you do it later. You do your research. You find some DCs or assistants that have been productive with defensive backs and D line play. I say if you look for a guy to unfortunately place Joe Barry, you want to find somebody that understands defensive line play to linebacker play, and then somebody else that can help out with the DBs and get that communication down and technique down, and just had that awareness because some of it's awareness. Do you see situations to where you see penalties happen where it's holding or you get a PI at the wrong time? It's like you got to be aware of those sometimes, and sometimes that's just coaching on top of that. So just find that coach. If that is a case where unfortunately Joe Barry loses his job, then find a guy that understands or a group of guys that understands those basic techniques sometimes. And I think that's what's being lost right now is basic technical training.
I'm so glad you just said that because I was just looking over the coaches roster as you were talking. I do not recognize. So I know Adam Stenavich. Adam Stenavich was
Yes.
he's from Michigan. He went to training camp with us in Carolina. I don't know how long his NFL career was, if he made it for a cup of coffee or not, but I know at one point he was in NFL training camp.
Yeah, I think he was in Houston with me.
Okay.
Yeah.
So maybe made it a couple
07, 08.
Yeah, maybe made it a couple of years. Okay. I'm looking at this right now. And obviously I know that Luke Buckus has an uncle that's famous.
Yeah.
I do not, as I look at this entire roster, I do not recognize a single, and I know Jerry Gray played at one point.
Mm-hmm.
I do not recognize a single name that is a contemporary of ours.
No.
As that played football.
No.
At that level. Right? And
yes.
if I would have asked you who the best coach on this team is, you probably would have said, at least last year, you would have said Adam Stenavich.
Yeah.
And you just talked about we are lacking in technical. We're lacking in the nuances of the game. I'm not saying that's why. I think that's really interesting.
It is because you bring up a fact that if you're around guys that are football minded, that means they understand the whole process of football from the physicalness to the technicality of defense and offense and of tackling to throwing to running the ball and how you set up a play action pass to how you plan on special teams or how you're going to do a return. Oh, you know what, we're going to do a fake on this play and this is what we're going to do to set that fake up. That's just football IQ. You got to have that, and if you don't have it with certain guys at the positions that are on the field, then the little details that are missed. That's where the little details. That's where you see, okay, somewhere in the coaching, because I don't assume the players to know that, because I know I didn't know everything, but I was willing to listen to my coaches, coach me up, or even my teammates, to say, okay, AG, try this next time when you do this with your footwork, picking up the blitz or running this route, point your toy like this before you go to the out route or whatever. I was like, I'm listening, but then I'm listening to everybody, not just I'm listening to y'all. I'm listening to my coaches, even coaches at other positions. Wide receiver coach might coach me up because he knows how to run a comeback route when I might have to run a comeback route. I'm gonna listen to that, and so when that's lacking, that's where you kind of see the pitfalls of that.
Let's skip this one and go right to get off my lawn.
All right, let's go. Yeah, let's go.
Because I want to talk about. Did you see what Zach Wilson? So Zach Wilson, they dropped 3 points. What did we talk about?
Yeah.
Okay, so the Jets dropped 3 points. Zach Wilson's. I'll just give you a stat line just to put this in perspective. Okay, so after the game, he said he's the quarterback of the New York Jets, dude. You're in the New York market.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you let the defense down? No. Next question. You were 9 for 22 for 77 yards, 4 sacks for 33 yards, QBR of 24.5. You ran 3 times for 26 yards, 8.7 yards with a log of 14. You scored 3 points. I know you're down. I know you're down Elijah Vera Tucker. I know you're down Brees Hall. I know. The Patriots
Right.
aren't world beaters on defense. You just dropped 3. I mean, that's what it is.
Right.
You have wide receivers, but when you play that position, you are accountable for everything.
Mm.
You're second pick in the draft, right? A lot of stuff's coming out right now, like different draft guys were saying, okay, this, his uncle runs JetBlue, is this, he's that, he's immature, blah blah. This kid he's been immature since day one.
Mm.
He's got talent. There's no question about it. Someone's feeding him lies, dude. Like someone is feeding this kid lies about who he is, what his responsibilities are to this team, this organization, that city, the media responsibilities you're going to have, how you answer things, how you carry yourself, but how you act as a leader of a football team. And like, I don't care if you're young or not, man. There's an easy way to answer that question. Yeah, we let him down. I got to play better.
Yeah.
Next question.
100%. I mean, yeah, you're one of the people that are executing plays to score points. You're on the side of the ball where the team that you're on is designed to score points. The other side of the ball is the team that is designed to stop people from scoring and picking up yardage and scoring points. And I mean, I would take a responsibility for anything that I know in a loss that if I was on that play and if I didn't do it, even if I did it, I'm still responsible. So I think a lot of players today, I believe they have to realize that they actually have a greater role other than being on the headline news of doing whatever or posting the next TikTok video.
Do you put this is the guy who's doing the gritty in the end zone lot. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like
Yes.
that's it. Like you're
That's
like,
what I
okay,
mean.
dude. Like, and let me just be really clear about when I say stuff like that. Justin Jefferson can do whatever the hell he wants
Because
in
he's
the end
doing
zone
his
because
job.
he's the man.
He's
This
doing his
dude, you are
job.
not that guy, right? You're just not that guy. Here's my question. How many? So he lost the defense. Defense is over there like, dude, we've given up 1 touchdown in 2 games versus these guys who lost both games. Like,
Right. Yeah, don't call
and now
me.
you're telling you don't owe us anything. So now you're on offense. You know the defense ain't talking to him. Probably, I
Right.
mean, they might be pulling him aside, but I think this dude's got to have whiplash because I'm grabbing him, you're grabbing him,
Yep.
Flanagan's grabbing him. You know what I mean?
Dude,
Coach
come
is
get over
grabbing
here.
him, wide
Get over here.
receivers grabbing him. You know what I mean? It's like,
Yep.
man, what? How? If you're in that room, what do you need to see from that guy to move forward?
Show up. Practice like you want to win. Practice like it means something to you. Prepare like it means something to you. And don't answer questions like that because obviously you're doing your job. Answer it. Say, hey, you know what? Mess up. I gotta figure it out. I gotta make it right. I gotta do this. I gotta do that. Say the things because you're doing it, not just say it just to say it. Say it because you're doing it too. On top of that, yeah, these young players, knuckleheads.
Next one here. Baker Mayfield gets the start in Carolina. Baker, I was a Baker Mayfield fan, and when he was at Oklahoma, you like the personality.
Yeah. You could tell he's a fighter. He's a grinder. Yeah.
They scored 3 points yesterday. 21 for 33, 2 picks. QBR 20.4. I don't know how to calculate QBR, but it's 24 sounds pretty bad.
Yeah.
And you just start thinking to yourself, like, is he done? He's done as an NFL quarterback, isn't he?
I would say it's in the same neighborhood as with Mr. Zach Wilson. They are young players that don't understand how to prepare and deal with the media but prepare to play football and then try to then say they got firepower to make comments, make statements because we saw that before he left Cleveland. He's making comments about his contract. He's making comments about
shots
the team.
fired, right?
Yeah, and it's like, bro, what have you done? Do something first. Win game. You was a first round draft pick. That's it. But you got
progressive commercials, man. He got progressive commercials, and he thought, like, man, I've arrived, and it's cool to be cocky. Like it's cool to be cocky. Like it really is. Like people, if you're cocky and you could back it up, like you could create this narrative. You can get super famous. You can do all this stuff because people want to hear that because it's controversial. Right? I get that. I do get that.
Yes.
Right. But I tell you what, if you can't back it up, it's like I tell my kids,
that's the key phrase.
my
Back
kid will
it up.
start talking. My kid will start talking that noise. I'll be like, okay, here's the deal. If you don't back it up, you look like a fool. Okay, and
100%.
everybody will marginalize you. That's what happens. And what's happened to him is like there's too much banging on the drum a little bit, and now you just want to, with all these guys, you just want to see him
You want
not
to see him
humble.
win.
Yeah, you want to see him do well, and
Right.
like
You want to see him do
something you
well.
gotta, they gotta get humbled a little bit to do well.
100%. You have to be humble coming into it in the first place. But if you're not, where these guys are, you have to be humbled. And then you will get, they don't realize if you're humble and they're balling where you don't have to do anything when you score. You scoring a touchdown should be it.
Mhm.
You know, some guys that do more, I wasn't an end zone guy, but like you said, Justin Jefferson, he's doing his job. He's
Do your
making
job.
he's making unbelievable plays. So you know what? Go gritty it out.
Yeah.
Some players don't do that. Some players just make a touchdown and boom, that's it. Aaron Donald, he shut down the run game in the Super Bowl. He was pointing to his finger. Why? Because he earned it. He worked for it. So players, and I just say young people in general, got to understand that.
There's nothing wrong with showing joy. There's
Right.
nothing wrong with showing joy.
Celebrate,
Yeah.
but like you said, back it up every time. And be humble about it. And most of the time, what I did, I just let my actions show. Let my actions do the trash talking. That was all enough for me.
So I just said the MVP. I think Patrick Mahomes last night, and just MVP race is closed. That's shut door, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
he's winning. He's winning. The only week I lost fantasy in one of my leagues was because the team was on a bye week.
I mean, he's God, he's so good. Nobody's playing as good as he is, right? There's just
No, quarterback wise, no. And it's to our point what we're talking about right now with these two young quarterbacks. We got a quarterback that's still he's in their age bracket. He's just a few years older, but he gets it. He understands it. He hangs out with his guys. He owns up to mistakes. He says it right away. He doesn't make no excuses. He's doing everything that you just as a player. I don't care the position.
They
He's a
should
leader.
be emulating him, is what you're saying.
100%.
Right.
100%.
Yeah.
I'm like, I would have loved to play with this dude. Oh my God, I would have loved to play with this dude. And
He's
along with Andy Reid and Eric Bieniemy calling plays, I'm like, as a runner back, I'm like, oh,
that three-headed monster, the collaboration they have, the way they talk about each other, how fond of one another they are.
Yes.
I mean, because you have that with the players, but Patrick Mahomes feels that way about those two guys.
Right.
You know what I mean? He generally has affection for both those. A lot of it's like, coach calls plays, I run them. That's what it is. That's the relationship. Yeah. No, this is you could see a collaborative effort.
They care.
Yeah, they care. They care about him as a man. Yeah. And so therefore he cares about them. And I think he is definitely somebody that young quarterbacks should be emulating. Man, he just seems to do. I know he's got his brother, whatever, is a pain in the ass or something on social media, but
I didn't know that.
Like he does. He seems to do everything right.
Okay.
The last thing I got, instead of this FIFA question, do you even watch?
Yeah, I'm watching. I'm gonna start watching. I've been watching
the men's national team is starting
They're
right
now. Yeah. They're on
I don't think they make it. I'm just going to tell you, but so there's a couple things. I don't think they're going to make it out of their bracket because Wales and England are better than they are.
Yeah, I would say England in general.
The app just so the FIFA, so you're in the Qatar and they got all these problems. But
yeah, of course.
Yeah, the app crashed. You can't even get into the games. You can't get your tickets. There's 4 teams, including the England and the Netherlands, that were going to wear these armbands that were anti discrimination armbands.
Oh, okay.
And FIFA, of course, banned them because of Qatar, right? Because of Qatar.
Yeah.
And then the beer thing 2 days before the game starts, they can't drink beer in the stadiums, which then there's it's not a big deal. You can't do that anywhere. It's oh yeah, you can. You just can't literally drink it in the stands. You can drink it in the stadiums. They have places to drink in the stadiums. I've been there. I know.
Yeah.
Right. And then it's I think you can go to if you're a homosexual in Qatar, I think you can spend 7 days in prison or something. Right. It's some bullshit. It's just something complete. And they're everybody's invited. It's just right there. You should be dude, we can't go here. That is literally a problem. You know what I mean?
How you missed that?
They didn't miss it, dude. They all got there's obviously there's been at least talks of there was a lot of people getting bribed with millions, multi-million-dollar bribes to get their votes. The whole thing's a shit show.
Money.
So today Belgium they stitched love on their collars.
Okay.
Right? They probably did it rainbow colors or something. I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah.
But they did. Belgium, dude. Belgium, good for you. Everybody else, FIFA goes, no. you can't do it. And they're gonna try to like, what are you gonna do? Take the shirts off? You know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
it's just such it's
idiocy.
pathetic, man. It's
Yes.
the biggest sports federation in the world, and it's
Yep.
not surprisingly the most corrupt sports federation in the world. I'm gonna watch this. I'm gonna hopefully the U.S. plays well. I can't wait to see Brazil play this year. I think Vinny
Me
Jr. is
too.
gonna like be amazing in this World Cup and kind of show everybody that he's one of the top 2 or 3 goal scorers in the world.
Hmm.
Benzema being out is gonna kill France. Like I'm super. I'm bought in, but we're all watching it going like, dude, this shouldn't be in Qatar, and like FIFA needs to be regulated. This is ridiculous.
Yeah, that's pure craziness, man. I didn't know all the underlying stories there.
Oh yeah, man.
I'm in to watch it though. I know I got friends going over there too to watch it in
Oh
person.
really?
Yeah, I got some. I know he went to the last one. I think it was it in England or Spain somewhere? It was like 2016.
Mhm.
Well, where was it in 2016? It was around that time. So
I should know, but I don't.
yeah, no, it's all good. But no, man,
Oh
great
no, it
show.
was in Russia.
Well, no, it was one. Okay, it wasn't that one. It
Okay,
might have been. So was it every 2 years, or every 4 years?
4.
Every four. So that means it was 2012 where he
Okay.
went to that one because he brought me back a Brazil jersey for that one. So
Got you. Got you.
yep. All right, man. So hey, great show today, man. As usual. Good job getting everything ready to go for us, and hopefully these boys, we're gonna see how they. It's gonna set now. It's gonna be a question of pride because the season, as we mentioned at the top of the show, is pretty much over. But there's it's a way outside chance. You win all these games, which it's gonna be tough. Other teams lose, and
Mhm.
maybe there's something at the end. Thinking optimistically. Thinking with a silver lining here. But reality is, you got to play these games to show up, and we already know the
Right.
Bears are playing a lot better than the first meeting. Justin Jefferson, Justin Fields, excuse me, he's hurt now, but different quarterback, different play calling. Joe Getsy is doing something to help him be the player that he's becoming now. And so that's going to be an interesting game. So we got games like that coming down the snide that is going to be some gut check.
We have no easy outs in the NFC North.
Zero,
Right. No
zero,
easy
no
outs.
easy out. So yeah, we'll see how these games go. We got what we're in Philly this week. Is
Yeah,
that
that'll
what
be
it is?
fun.
Yeah.
That'll be a
So it's
fun
gonna.
game.
Whew.
So
So
Philly's got Linville Joseph and Ndamukong Suh now,
yes,
and they have Fletcher Cox, Hargraves.
Fletcher
So
Cox is a problem. Yeah, that'll be fun to talk
Hargraves.
about.
We'll see. Just
Yeah.
wait. This will be super interesting because Ndamukong Suh and Linville Joseph like walked off the bus yesterday and was like, "Oh man, they can still play." Right? Hargraves has been killing everybody. Then you got
Yeah.
Hassan Reddick. Dude, they got Josh Sweat. Josh Sweat's legit. Hassan Reddick is legit.
Yep.
They got 4 defensive tackles that are all pro. Have been all pro now. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Here we go. So that's what they got. So we'll talk about a little bit more on Thursday as well. So, or no, it's Thanksgiving Thursday.
Yeah.
What are we gonna do?
I don't know. We'll figure it out.
All right, we figured it out. All right, Mike. Let everybody know where they can find you on the social media.
Yeah, Mike Wall 68 on Twitter, Process to Perform, and Instagram. Check this show out on YouTube, /Process to Perform.
All right, and you can find me at Ahman Green 30 on Twitter and Instagram, and also my gaming podcast, Ahman Green's Gamers Lounge. That is on YouTube and Twitch live on Wednesdays as well. So hope everyone have a great week, and we'll see you next week.